Hey guys, it's Tea Time Tuesday, and to be honest with you, I'm just here on a trip right now. I've been trying to put this together, I've been building it up, I've been caught up in my own ego, which is the topic that I wanted to actually talk about, probably because I'm going through this right now. But yeah, okay, so getting on the camera and doing this right now is what I need to do. Um, We're going to talk about today the ego dissolution and knowing that where you are and what you're doing is an expression of source rather than the ego construct. Okay, so I want to start by saying this whole analogy that in my ego mind, my mind can actually come up with trying to figure out how to put this into a way to express it. But if you think of an anemone, it has that source where all of the tentacles or the feelers come out from. But ultimately, all of those tentacles are part of the source. If you think of the earth, that's kind of what we are on the earth's surface. We're just expressions of it, kind of. You know what I mean? That's the light source. We're just bursts of light. So that's where this whole that's the whole analogy that we're gonna get into, because what I was watching was the Samadhi movie, Maya, Illusion of the Self, and that's a really good movie to watch. Interesting. But it talks about two different concepts. One is Maya, which is the illusion of the self, which is the ego construct. So this is when your consciousness identifies with this mask or this layer, and there's so many layers that we put on. That's the conditioned programming. That's the programming. And this comes down to the energetic movement between seeking something in the external. That's the ego. The ego is constantly seeking something in the external. The ego, it constantly wants more of everything. So that's the illusion of the self there. That's the basically. Now, the process of Samadhi, or what I have equated with ego dissolution, so the breaking down of the ego, basically, the dissolution of the ego, and it happens in layers. So at this point, we can probably go back to what we're talking about with the anemone. And so if we consider that we're all tentacles of the source, what happens is through programming and interacting and, probably, there's a lot of layers to thinking about what we're doing when we're accumulating. What can you can think of it as like dirt or masks or coverings over what is like our true essence. And that kind of blocks, connection energetically. So let's get back on track here. So yes, so the process of the ego dissolution is shedding of those masks, shedding of those layers. And it's a continuous process through the ascension process. A lot of it is that because we're constantly being exposed to situations that make us question what resonates with us, what feels good to us, what is unhealthy and healthy for us, and where we need to set boundaries and stuff. So that's Explosion. Shit. Sorry guys, I had a situation with the tea just now. But yeah, I think what we were talking about was the ego dissolution and what happens during that process and how we're exposed to different things that like I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. I have no idea. I have no idea what. Yes. Hello, we have interview perspective. Okay. Back to the ego dissolution now. So, when you get to the ego dissolution and layer after layer after layer of the healing is completed, eventually what is actually happening during that process is you're letting go of lower vibrational energy and creating space for higher vibrational energy to come in. And so as that happens, you upgrade. You're basically upgrading. You're upgrading. And that's what is meant by like light codes and downloads and information coming in. It's because your physical vibration is upgrading. How did we get into that? I was talking about, okay, yeah. We were talking about the process. Yeah, the ascension process, the ascension and awakening process. That's basically what it is. So there are a couple of things that like kind of stuck out for me. And one of them is this one. In the movie, it says, in an awakened individual, consciousness shines through the personality, through the mask. When awake, you don't become identified with your character. You don't believe that you're the mask that you're wearing. Okay, wait. That was not it. That was it, but like, I feel like there was more. Probably when I was meditating on this. But yeah, so that's the whole idea of like actually, you know, working with what you got, kind of, so to speak, because your physical vessel is your expression of yourself. And so that's your unique expression of source in this reality. And so you honor that. But at the same time, you remember that like it's not the mask. You're part of the source and you're only doing what you're doing and living and experiencing life and being as source being. And that's the process, and it continually keeps going. My hair looks like caught that? See, it's always the camera. That's why I can never like, I'd rather have face-to-face conversations. Hello, lives. Yeah. Oh, and then talked about Plato's cave. And I just thought that was like perfect because look at what's happening today. It's like people didn't want to come out of the cave, and the cave started to crumble. So they had no option but to look at what was going on. And I wonder, because some people may still be in like, you know, denial, and others that's ultimately resistance, and others may like just be in need of rest right now. But essentially that's it. That's the awakening. That's why we're in a mass awakening, because the structures are all